get started here for our 11 o'clock panel. It's the CEO Roundtable on CDN and the telecom ecosystem, which is a hot topic for many of us. So I appreciate you guys joining us, both here in our audience as well as at home with our viewers or JSA TV. I am very honored and excited to introduce to you one of my dear friends in the industry, Mr. Rob Powell. He's been inspiring me. I wake up every morning reading my Telecom Ramblings feed, and I know many of my clients here as well. So Rob Powell, if you don't know, he is the editor-in-chief, the creator of Telecom Ramblings, a spot-on blog about our industry. Rob's been writing about the telecom industry, internet infrastructure as well, since 2008. Although he's been pontificating on the subject in private long before that. He spent the 10 years spanning the dot-com boom and bust as a software engineer at Bentley Systems and has a master's in chemical engineering from Princeton. So Rob also splits his time between New Jersey and Beijing, and we've been so honored. He flew from Beijing this Monday just to be here with us, and we couldn't be more honored. He's going to be our moderator, and he will introduce our esteemed panelists here from our wonderful company. So thank you, and without ado, Rob.
Thank you, Jamie, for the kind words and for the invitation here. I've tried to make it to every telecom exchange I've been able to, so it's always a pleasure. On this panel, we'll be discussing the relationship between content delivery networks and the telecom and internet infrastructure ecosystems. The rapid rise of mobile data and streaming video has raised the importance of that relationship, I think, and in some cases we've seen network operators build or buy CDN infrastructure to complement their offerings, and others we've seen CDN services positioned closer to the cloud. I'm curious in general as to which of these ways we should be thinking about content delivery going forward, or are both correct. And we have 4 distinguished panelists with us today to give their thoughts on the subject. We have Shawn Mills, who is the president and founder of Greenhouse Data, who operates data centers out in Cheyenne, Wyoming, as well as Newark and Portland. He spent the last 15 years in technology and communications generally, and has founded several companies along the way. We have Matt Johnson, who's Senior Vice President of Product and Strategy at Hibernia. And before that, of course, he came in from Media Extreme, so he's actually from the content business originally, as opposed to submarine cable side. And so he has a great deal of knowledge about the CDN, or the video industry. It's not necessarily content delivery at that point, but maybe it is now, I don't know. We have... We have Mark Staudinger, who's a Vice President of Systems and Architecture at New York Internet, local boy. They operate data centers both here in Wall Street and across the river, far away in Bridgewater, New Jersey, closer to my home. He's the driving force also behind New York Internet's new FTW content delivery network that was announced, I think, part of it today. And we have Les Williams. And we have Les Williams from Telx, who's the Vice President of Product, Interconnection, and Ethernet Exchange. And in the CDN world these days, there's a lot going on when it comes to interconnection between different parts of the internet, between content and eyeballs, and Telx has been at the center of that for a long time. So it looks like we have a group of people that can tell us a lot about it. So the first question I'd just like to start off with is simply, today CDN serves such a large fraction of the world's content to end users. When we think of the internet, a lot of it is coming from content delivery. What do each of you see as the role of the telecom infrastructure ecosystem in supporting the growing demands of content on the internet? Should there be better integration between the CDN world and the networking data center world, or is it the way it should be right now?
So From my perspective as a service provider of infrastructure as a service hosting company, we're pretty pleased with the direction that the CDN market has come. You know, it's serving well over 50% of the total traffic that's happening out on the internet. And you know, when you see statistics of Akamai delivering 4.7 terabits a second for World Cup games, I mean, that is a massive amount of data that's happening in the CDN space. And so what we have done and what we see is partnering with the providers of the content delivery networks to deliver our services in a better fashion. Really, ultimately, for our customers, allows us to deliver the right product for them so that we can deliver, you know, the suite of services that they need to deliver their content fastest, you know, safest, most protected fashion. So we're pretty pleased with where the service provider market goes. I'm certainly interested to hear how new entrants into the market of delivering CDN could ultimately potentially benefit our customers and, you know, the internet at large.
And I would agree with that. I think what we're seeing from customers today is that they're looking to take basic building blocks and integrate them more closely with the services that they're delivering. And the big shift that's occurring is that they're moving a lot of the authoring tools, the processing, and things like that into the cloud. And so they need a network that's a little bit more aware and integrated with what's happening in the cloud. And the CDN is kind of a nice glue, if you will, to kind of mesh the two technologies together, networking technologies and the media processing capabilities that are occurring in the cloud.
Yeah, I think the CDNs originally were making the best use of what was available in terms of infrastructure and getting content quickly to people based on the existing telecom infrastructure. And at this point, it's probably more important to understand the networks that are in place, especially the CDNs, and make sure that in terms of people who are delivering to end customers, that you have a good connection to the CDNs that they're using, not necessarily to the origin of the data.
And from Telex's standpoint, where we sit, we have all of these players that converge within our facilities. We have 20 data centers across the U.S., and we, in most of these areas, we kind of operate the area, the points of interconnection for these facilities. So traditionally, when you would see CDNs, doing connectivity between network nodes to build their CDN infrastructure, now you're beginning to see a little bit of a fluidity in that model, and you're beginning to see a little bit of a change in pattern by way of interconnection. So it's not only business CDNs putting backbones, but you're beginning to see different types of connectivity arrangements between the traditional telcos and the traditional CDN networks, and other sinks or destinations for those contents that content providers are generating. So there's a lot in there. It's all good stuff, and in the last 2 years alone, I think 90% of the world's content was generated. So there's a real increase in data, and it's warranting the way people deliver those contents and ensuring the quality of experience end to end.